So my name is Kate Wells, and I'm the CEO of the Children's Museum of Phoenix. And I got involved with the Children's Museum actually as one of the founding members. Some girlfriends of mine had been down to San Diego to a Children's Museum there, and I had been to some with my own children. And we got together and decided that Phoenix really needed a Children's Museum of their own. At the time, we were the 5th largest city in the country and the only major city in the country not to have a Children's Museum.
Okay.
Yeah. So we all kind of, we all had different talents. One of us was an artist, one of us was a bureaucrat, one of us could raise money and throw fun parties. That was me. And so I became the de facto development director. And through the course of the process, which took 10 years, was a very long process, we had to raise about $25.5 million to open the museum. And we did it. So after I opened the museum, I promised that I'd stay for a year, but I'm a gypsy at heart, and I had some exploring to do with my young children. So I was at the museum for the first year of us being open, and then I took my girls out of school. They were 9 and 12 at the time, and we actually backpacked around the world for 16 and a half months. But really what it did, it served a lot of purposes for my kids, and for all of us actually, is that we really saw social issues that people dealt with every single day, especially women and children. I think that was the biggest eye-opener for all of us. I think that there are challenges for anyone in any given job. So tying them directly to me being a woman, I think is challenging. I actually was very sexually harassed at my second job I ever had, working at a skateboard shop back when I was 16 years old. And at the time, I just thought the guy was a jerk. I wasn't empowered and didn't know that there were vehicles for me to go and complain about what he was doing. He was, I felt my job was in jeopardy, and I was 16 years old. I was a little embarrassed by it. And so it stuck with me though. And as I grew up and I went to college, I realized, wait a minute, what he did was absolutely not right. And I didn't pursue it, but I realized that this is a challenge. If it was a challenge to me, who grew up with with a strong family and a good school and education, and it was a problem for me, that I can't imagine what the problem must be for women who don't have the resources to go get help. Because I did have the resources at the time, I didn't know I had them, which I remember constantly is a lot of women don't know they have resources to go to, and so part of what I try to do as a woman and in the volunteer work that I do is to make sure that women and children know they have opportunities to get help and empower them. So, well, I think that we need to have laws that protect women in the workplace, absolutely, and creating equality in the workplace. Until we have equality, we're never going to solve all of the issues that we have. I mean, I'm absolutely a feminist. Gosh, I think feminism is different depending upon the woman that you talk to. I had an interesting conversation with my older daughter about feminism because with the internet now, you have the opportunity to decide what your cause is, and to be more attached to your cause. And within the realm of feminist issues and women's issues, there are a million different things you can support. So that's so exciting because there's so many issues for us to tackle. So I really do think that it's an individual issue. I consider myself a feminist all around, and my mom, who was in the last wave of feminists, teases me about my love of high heels. And you know what? I can be a feminist and still wear high heels, and I am totally okay with that. So there are so many stereotypes that need to be broken down, and I think that the LGBT community has really brought the conversation to the forefront, not just of women's and men's stereotypes, but just stereotypes of people being identified by their sexuality at all. I think that we're talking about it more. The media is certainly talking about it more. There's all these great movements about shaming and about having a voice. And the internet, boy, I am not techie at all, but I think that one of the gifts that the internet has brought us is giving people a voice and helping them connect with people who are like-minded. And I think that's going to be the most powerful tool of helping us break down stereotypes is an increase in communication, whether it be one-on-one, but more often now, because you can reach more people through the internet.
Awesome.
Yes. Well, I think my husband's a feminist. Absolutely. And he didn't grow up in he grew up in an extremely traditional household where his parents played very, very typical gender roles. And I've asked him before, like, how the heck did you turn out to be a dad like you are? Because you certainly didn't have a role model of being a father who is intimately engaged in day-to-day parenting, unlike your father or generations before him. And, I wonder what it is about this generation of engaged fathers. And I think it's just the right way to be. And I think that the more we can do to encourage that in families and in our social institutions, that the more we'll have a shift in men taking a role in making sure that both of their children, all of their children, whether they're male or female, grow up in an environment that has fewer stereotypes, that breaks down gender roles, and encourages men to fight for women's equality.